So Gearbox just released their best paddle to date. There's no doubt in my mind about that. But there is a little secret on how to get it there. So without further ado, let's dig straight into it. The Gearbox Pro Ultimate Hyper comes in at a price of $275, and I don't have a discount code for this one as Gearbox doesn't do any discounts on their paddles. But if you want to support me and my channel and my dream of being able to do this full time, you can use the link in the description down below and I will get a kickback from that. All right, so honestly, at my local courts, I don't see a ton of Gearbox paddles anymore. When the Pro Power models released, I saw them pretty frequently, but I think with the tight sweet spot and the immense power they have, people sidelined them just as I did. When I got an email a while back from Gearbox asking if I would want to test out their new standard shape paddle, I mean, it was an obvious yes. When I first played with the paddle, I realized it certainly has a larger sweet spot due to the shape of the paddle. Standard shape paddles will pretty much always have a larger sweet spot than elongated or hybrid shape paddles. But for me to have a larger sweet spot with that almost muted and almost trampoline-like feeling off the face of a Gearbox Pro Series paddle is just wonderful. And no, I'm not going to make you wait until the end of the video to tell you the secret behind getting this paddle to reach its full potential. Here's the secret. You have to break this thing in. You'll notice when you first get it that it feels a bit tight. It doesn't have as much of that sort of trampoline-like effect off the face, and it's just overall pretty clunky. Once this paddle opens up and it breaks in, it loosens up, you get a more plush, muted response, and you get more of that Gearbox Pro Series power that these paddles are really known for. It's still not nearly the power of a Pro Power elongated, not even close, but it's solid and certainly in the upper tier for a standard shape paddle. All right, so metrics wise, the Hyper is 16 millimeters in thickness, has a swing weight of 112.6, so it doesn't feel too heavy really at all, and it has a twist weight of 6.36, which is really pretty solid for an edgeless paddle. Feels pretty stable stock, but given the slightly below average swing weight, you have room for customization as well, which is nice, so you can add some lead tape and get that twist weight up if you prefer more stability for off-center hits. The Hyper has solid spin coming in at 2150 RPM. Comparing that to a few other Gearbox Pro Series paddles, we have the Pro Ultimate Elongated at 2001 RPM, the Pro Power Integra at 2080 RPM, and the Pro Control Integra at 2064 RPM. So in my testing, it is the highest spinning paddle in their lineup, and it's noticeable for sure. One thing I'll note here as well that I actually saw on John Q's channel a while back is that the Gearbox Pro Series paddles seem to be some of the most durable paddles on the market when it comes to spin degradation. I've done my own personal analysis on this since then and have found that to be true. Gearbox places their raw carbon fiber sheets layered in different directions, and they use some of the highest quality raw carbon fiber available, so the longevity of the spin with these paddles is some of the best. Power and pop wise, the Hyper comes in at a 9.3 out of 10 for power and an 8.9 for pop. These numbers are post break-in period. Prior to the break-in, I would say these are about 0.4-ish less than they currently are, and I do utilize a speed gun and miles per hour testing to derive these numbers. They are not just arbitrarily composed. As far as break-in goes, I don't know if the Pro Ultimate Hyper will continue to get hotter or if I have reached the peak. I can't say that in the last couple weeks of playing with it, I have noticed it getting hotter since the original break-in, so that's a good sign, but only time will really tell, so proceed with caution, as previous models did seem to get hotter and hotter until they were almost unusable for some people. And you can always compare metrics over on my paddle database. I always have a bunch of useful links in the description down below. Sweet spot wise, the Hyper comes in at an 8.9 out of 10. Comparing that to the Pro Power Elongated at an 8.2, the Pro Power Integra at 8.6, and the Pro Control Integra at an 8.7, we can see that it does have the best sweet spot given Gearbox's current lineup at the time of posting this video. It's definitely noticeable. I wanted to give it a 9 for sweet spot because I feel like the gap here is wider than it really looks, but it just doesn't compete with other paddles that have 9+ in the sweet spot category, so I felt an 8.9 is appropriate. It does die off pretty hard around the edge of the paddle. Of course, without an edge guard, it will feel a bit dead around the edge, but still solid all things considered. Lastly, let's talk about the controllability of the Hyper. I feel like this paddle is very easy to control. I like the springiness of Gearbox paddles when it comes to drops, resets, and dinks. If you prefer something very soft and pillowy, this wouldn't be the one for you, but it does certainly work for me. Sometimes I find dinks and drops are easier for me with certain paddles that have more power. I feel like I can let the paddle do more of the work and I don't have to think as much about how much acceleration I need to impart into the ball. All that aside, I had to give it a realistic overall controllability score given the more powerful nature of this paddle post break-in, so I gave it an 8.8. Just a bit more control than the rest of the Gearbox lineup, but it's still edgeless and packs a punch, so I don't think it deserves to be in the 9+ category. 3 for control. So yeah, overall I have to say it's a solid battle. It's one of those battles for me that I picked up and immediately played very well with. I have it in my bag right now to continue to mess around with even after this review, because I do like it quite a bit. I don't like it quite as much as the J2K or J2TI as far as my main paddles go, like if I was going to a tournament, but I will keep it in my bag and continue to tinker with it. If you want to see the ball machine that has leveled up my game like crazy this year, click here, subscribe and turn on that notification bell to always be in the know about new paddle releases, and have a freaking wonderful day. Peace.